All right. All right. So we're Team Dragon, and we worked on the hand raising app. My name is Faison Williams.
I'm Janisha Adhikari.
I'm Cheyong Zhao.
And I'm Taslim Dosumu.
My task for assignment was to work on the requirement specification. A few things I learned with the assignment was just mapping the use cases to the requirement specifications, and trying to see how to be specific enough so that I can map later to the next part, and also being concise but also being detailed. Um, in my future assignments, I think what I'll take from this is just once I know what I want and once a group knows what our features are, it'll clarify how to break these larger problems down into sub problems. Um, the most challenging thing I encountered was kind of just finding that balance between detailedness, and also being concise with the requirements and not jumping into implementation.
My task for this assignment was to do the planning and scheduling table as well as the class diagram. Um, so the things that I've learned from this assignment is how to build up the objects for the class diagram. And then I think based on the class diagram that we have drawn, and this assignment will help us make the database table as well as going to ER diagram and all the stuff for the next assignments. The most challenging part for this assignment was to figure out the main objects that we can use in our class diagram because there were lots of functionalities in our use case diagram, but we kind of see what was the main points from there and then put those on the class diagrams.
My task for this assignment is to build database systems. So my task for this assignment is specify the database system. What I learned from this assignment is that I need to figure out what actually like attribute and the table we need to use from the use case diagram and the other like student requirement and system requirements. So I will use this assignment for our future database system development. And what's most challenging I encountered is that because we have a lot of files and a lot of requirements, we need to find out the details and what actually we need to use for the database and like simplify the database structure.
My task for this assignment was to refine the previous diagrams that we created, so the use case diagram as well as the context diagram. I also had to work on the requirement specification with Faison, and then I also assisted Janisha with working on the class diagram. Some things that I learned from this assignment was in refining the previous diagrams with the context model, it's important not to go into detail about your system, but rather think about all of the other systems that the system that's under development will be interacting with or potentially be interacting with, so that as you're working, you can consider how will it interact with other systems. In working on the requirement specification, I learned that it's pretty challenging to go from just use cases to adding more detail. It takes a lot of thought into figuring out how much detail is actually necessary so that you're not going overboard or locking yourself into a specific implementation, but also adding enough detail that people can take it and move forward to the next way to translate the data in creating a class diagram or an ER diagram. In working on the class diagram, I found that it was pretty challenging to go one step further in figuring out what details are important, what classes or what objects should be extracted from the requirement specification? What details are important for them in terms of what attributes should they have or what behaviors should they have and how should they all be related? It's not immediately obvious from the requirement specification, even though I think we worked really well in making good requirements. Um, it's still a natural problem to extract the ambiguity from natural language and turn it into a structured piece of information. Um, the most challenging thing that I took from this, the things that I would learn from the, God damn it. I would apply my learnings from this assignment to future work in that I will have a better understanding of what it takes to go from the least detailed use cases to the more structured and detailed class diagrams and other model representations of the system. And the most challenging thing that I kind of found with this assignment is, again, figuring out the right level of detail at different stages, as well as how to translate that level of detail.
We're Team Dragon.